We arrived in Tel Aviv on a flight from Paris to join a delegation of Canadian and American LGBT activists on a mission to Israel. Our visit, sponsored by the Israeli Foreign Ministry, took place at a time when the war in Gaza was still raging and dozens of Israelis were still being held hostage. I'm excited that I'm here in Israel. It's really meaningful to be here at this time, to be part of a delegation of LGBT persons who are here to support the LGBT community in Israel during the war, and to listen to them and see what we can do to be supportive. Really looking forward to the next few days here in Israel. Our first stop was Jerusalem. Our time here would allow us to meet members of the community, learn about Israel's geopolitical context, and take in the history and significance of this city.
Ancient history and that is something that tells a lot. But what we would like actually to do is just to provide you.
Our first full day in Jerusalem started with a visit to Yad Vashem, Israel's national monument, museum, and research center dedicated to the history of the Holocaust. Yad Vashem was opened in 1953. The new museum we toured was designed by Canadian-Israeli Moshe Safdie. The imposing concrete structure takes you through a number of galleries that describe the history of anti-Semitism, the rise of Nazism in Germany, all leading to the genocide of 6 million Jews across Europe.
Shot in the forest. Usually we have almost no information.
Yad Vashem is a repository of the history of the millions murdered by the Nazis and their collaborators. It includes a book with the names of millions of known victims, including some of them with the same family name as mine, from the same city I was born in.
And guys, I want to use the opportunity to show Jeremy. I know it wasn't music. I saw
Yad Vashem was a deeply moving introduction to our time in Jerusalem. It provided context to our visit to other parts of the city, including to the historic Old City of Jerusalem.
We had the Pride Parade like 5 days ago, and I'm kind of referring to the shawl because it's like
We entered the Old City through the Jaffa Gate. The road from Jaffa on the coast to Jerusalem ends at the city walls at this point. The old city walls are relatively new, built during the Ottoman Empire in the 16th century. The old city of Jerusalem is divided into 4 uneven quarters: Muslim, Christian, Armenian, and Jewish. Our first stop in the Old City was the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, a 4th century church in the Christian Quarter. According to tradition, this is the place where Jesus was crucified, and is also where he was buried, and according to Christian belief, resurrected. The church is considered one of the holiest places for Christians. We walked through the Old City, past shops and food stalls, until we reached the plaza in front of the Western Wall, the holiest site in Judaism. You can see, just above the wall, the Al-Aqsa Mosque, one of the holiest sites in Islam. This small area holds so much meaning to all 3 Abrahamic faiths. After a generous lunch, we went to the Jerusalem Open House for Pride and Tolerance, a safe gathering place for Jerusalem's diverse LGBT community. We then took a walking tour of Jerusalem's queer places, acknowledging the sacrifice of Shira Banki, a young woman murdered at the Jerusalem Pride Parade by a disturbed religious zealot back in 2015.
Some people here are from Canada? Yes. Yeah, you? Okay, I used to live in Toronto. Okay, for a while I love Toronto. Amazing. Eglinton and Bathurst, that's where I am. So anyway, a bit about the story of the sign. The Pride Parade in Jerusalem, we'll talk about the history of it. It goes all the way.
That night, we stopped for dinner at a wonderful queer-friendly restaurant. It was also our first live experience with the war in the region. We received an alert on our phones that there was an incoming missile launched by the Houthis in Yemen. We all scrambled down to the safe area and re-emerged after the all clear. We left Jerusalem the next morning, passing memorials to kidnapped Israelis on our way south towards Kibbutz Nir Oz, one of the communities attacked on October 7th, just on the border with Gaza.
Everything, but when Elon called them, he gave them 2 minutes that they needed to understand where the terrorists came from and where they needed to go, and they started to walk towards the neighborhood, doing the walk.
Listening to the experiences of one of the survivors of the Hamas attack on October 7th at the kibbutz was difficult. We could hear the fighting, automatic fire and explosions as the war in Gaza raged just a couple of kilometers away.
Where most of you are located in Israel?
We evacuated to Mishmar HaEmek, which is up north.
Another kibbutz, right?
Yeah, another kibbutz.
Our next stop was perhaps the most poignant, the site of the Nova Music Festival, where hundreds of young people were murdered. Seeing the place, the hundreds of memorials to the young lives taken that terrible day, brought faces of people to the many victims of October 7th.
I'm 35. From Netivot. Netivot is very close, like 15 minutes from here, so from this area. I have son, 10 years old. Amazing, he's my power and the big why, I have to say. I'm a student to architect and interior design. Until 6 minutes of that moment. And we start with the car. We go out to look, and if in the beginning we hear a little bit gunshot, now we see the policemen start to fight, not fight, like fight very hard, like they scream to each other with the IDF words that I don't understand, but I get it that something very bad is happening because they shot him. We prepare to איך אומרים מצע?
The proposal.
Yeah. The proposal. Why is something that is so simple and so clear is not? Like why I need to, because I live here, why I don't choose. When I born here, I don't choose where to born, what to be my religion, what to be. And
Listening to Mazal's testimony was heartbreaking. It brought the tragedy at Nova to a personal level. One of the legacies of October 7th were hundreds of vehicles that were destroyed by Hamas on that day. So many people were trapped and murdered in these cars. They are now part of a memorial here in Tkuma.
testimonials, the stories of the victims, the stories of our heroes. It means so much for the Israeli people, so thank you so much for doing so. Myself personally, I used to live for about 11 years in the United States. I live in both in Chicago and Manhattan. I'm also an American citizen. And I came back to Israel several years ago. Never in my life thought that I would wear the IDF uniform again. But life are full of surprises, and following October 7th, I joined the IDF as a reservist.
Our next stop was Beersheva, where we visited the Pride House. This was an opportunity to speak with members of the LGBT community in the largest city in the south of Israel. We also had the chance to walk around and see some key landmarks in the city's LGBT history. We ended our day in Tel Aviv on what we thought would be the final stop on our visit to the region. This beautiful city by the Mediterranean was going to change us in a way that we didn't expect. The first part of our program in Tel Aviv was a visit to the Peres Center for Peace and Innovation. We heard about Peres's role as an Israeli statesman and a peacemaker. We learned about Israel as a startup nation, fostering innovation in many key sectors.
Tomorrow, they will not leave us alone. When he comes back here, he is every day here, and actually he's here until his last day. He's taken from here to the hospital. And we have here some landmarks of temporary. Why did they bring us here? I should have gone to the beach. Okay, so listen, I'll give you some idea because it's not idea. But you really spoke to him for a while, yeah? Was it nice? Yeah. When he was the president or the treasury? President.
The next part of our day was a walking tour through one of Tel Aviv's oldest neighborhoods, Neve Tzedek, and then off to the Carmel Market. Our afternoon was spent at the Tel Aviv LGBT Center, where we heard a great deal about the status of the community. We heard about the backlash in Israel stemming from the attacks against it by some in the global LGBT+ movement. We also listened to the story of Omer Ohana, whose partner Sagi Golan was killed on October 7th, just a couple of weeks before they were supposed to marry. He told us how he is channeling his grief into changing Israeli society and law to better protect the lives of its LGBT citizens. Tel Aviv is a remarkable city. After a heavy program that focused on the experiences of Israelis on October 7th and the struggles and successes of its LGBT population, we were really looking forward to celebrate Pride in this bustling city on the Mediterranean. Its people, its beaches are beautiful, but our visit took a turn. That night, the alarms started to go off. Israel had launched a preemptive strike against Iran's nuclear capabilities, and Israelis were bracing themselves for retaliatory strikes. Many times that night, we sought shelter in the stairwells and in the second-level parking garage. Over the coming nights, we found ourselves repeating the trek down the stairs to the shelters many times. The sound on our phones made us grab our go bags and head down to safety. I started sleeping in my clothes, knowing we would have to go at any time. I kept water, my passport, phone chargers, and granola bars in my backpack. I wanted to be prepared in case we were stuck for any length of time. One night we heard a very large bang, followed by a rush of air and dust down the ramp to our shelter. When the all-clear notice went out and we returned to our rooms, we saw the flashing lights of first responders. In the morning, we saw the extent of the damage, some windows blown out at our hotel, but significant destruction just a couple of blocks away. This was a profoundly strange experience. Being caught in this war was not what we expected. We all understood that we were going to Israel at a volatile time. War was still raging in Gaza, and we knew that the Yemen-based Houthis would periodically attack with missiles. But a full-blown war with Iran, where hypersonic missiles would fall so close to us, was not what we expected. We marveled at the resilience of Israelis to live their lives despite the precarious nature of it all. I took solace from the shelter dogs I encountered and the people who we met in extraordinary times. This was something that none of us could have foreseen. It was something that none of us would forget. And again, it was thanks to the people that we were with that we were able to get through it.
לראות על הנייר.
A few of us shared our experiences with media back home. It was a way for us to send messages back to our loved ones and the broader community about our reality. Part of that reality was also the deeply anti-Semitic comments that we saw online. Through it all, we wanted to go home. The Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs worked to get us out. We drove through Israel, from Tel Aviv, through the West Bank, to the Allenby Crossing and into Jordan. Overnight in Amman, and then on to Dubai for our flights home. It was long, particularly the wait at the land border, but we were relieved to get out. I really want to thank Sabrina, Oren, and Noam for everything they did to get us through this experience. They were in a remarkably difficult situation, and we really need to acknowledge their incredible work in getting us out. We were all relieved to be heading home. This experience profoundly affected me. The ability to be in Israel at this incredibly difficult time reinforced my strong belief in a Jewish homeland. Despite the missiles and this war and pieces, I felt safe. I felt like I belonged. Spending time with fellow members of the LGBT community, both Jewish and not, helped me feel at home in queer places, something that I have not felt since October 7th, 2023. The experience also bound me to this incredible group of people from Toronto, Houston, San Francisco, Ottawa, Chicago, and New York. Friendships were deepened and new ones forged through this experience. I deeply appreciate and respect them all. I know our friendships will endure. I want to dedicate this video to Sarah Milgram, an employee of the Embassy of Israel and one of the organizers of this mission, who was murdered on May 21, 2025 by a terrorist in Washington, just 2 weeks prior to our trip.